Founder of Koenigsegg, Mr. Christian Koenigsegg himself. Thank you very much for joining us and for bringing your wonderful car.
Well, thank you, Tim. It's a great pleasure being here today, and a fantastic atmosphere and great people everywhere, so I'm really happy.
I mean, we've seen the Agera, we've seen the Agera R before, but what is different about the One?
Well, we always had a dream to build a car that has 1 kilo per horsepower, fully laden weight pretty much. And it's been kind of close for many years that it's been possible, but there was still a little bit to go when it came to lowering the weight and increasing the power to get there. But then we got inquiries from a couple of Koenigsegg owners who wanted the car which was more like a track car, like for example the Ferrari FXX program or something like that. And we said, yeah, maybe we can do something like that. And then they said, at the same time, we want to be able to register it for the road. Okay, that was a bit more of a challenge. But it should be really a track car at the same time. So we thought to combine these two ideas basically to build the most track-focused Koenigsegg we ever built. A little bit more Spartan, lighter in every way really, but still having full road capabilities with air conditioning, power windows, lifting systems, and whatever. And that's how the one-to-one program came about.
Okay, let's go back to the beginning, because I'm always fascinated with you here as the founder. It's the perfect time to ask the question. You know, what was your thinking behind wanting your own supercar? What did you want to be different about it? What did you not think was available out there?
Well, actually, those were the first questions I asked myself when I got started. But to backtrack a little bit further, I had a childhood dream to build my own cars, my sports cars. I always wanted to do that for as long as I can remember. And as soon as I had a chance, I started. And I understood that it was almost impossible, very difficult, and why would anyone buy something that's not known or
You're
famous?
not the only one to have that thought when they start to build a supercar.
Right. So I said to myself, in order to have any chance of success whatsoever, it needs to have some unique features and characteristics that no one else had. And at the time I started, was back in 1994, there was no supercar with a detachable hardtop that you could put inside the car, and when the hardtop is on, it's really a coupe, and when it's off, it's a roadster. A few years later, like 2 years later, the F50 came out and had something similar, that you could not take the roof with you, like in our car, so it was still unique. But that was one of the things. Then of course performance. Sports cars is about performance to a large degree, and of course looks and usability, and I just tried to find all these differences. A high degree of power, very light, sporty construction, and just push the limits a little bit further than the established brands had to. I mean, if you have a famous brand, you don't have to go to such extremes to maybe have people buy the cars, but we came from nowhere and had to make the car desirable beyond anything else, I guess. So we just pushed the boundaries in every direction to get there, and here we are today, I guess. So.
Yeah, well, you certainly have pushed the boundaries, and the numbers on this and all Koenigseggs are big numbers, you know, and I'm not just talking about the price, but I'm talking about the horsepower. The Agera R was the fastest accelerating car ever, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, we have the 0 to 300 to 0 Guinness World Record. Yeah. So we accelerated 0 to 300 in 14.5 seconds and back down to 0 again in 6.6, totaling a 21.19 second run. And yeah, we have been measured against all the big brands out there in acceleration and so on. And I would say it's the fastest accelerating series-produced registrable for the road sports car on pump gas, or in our case pump gas or E85, which is a kind of a biofuel pump gas.
So have you done the acceleration figures for the One?
We haven't, no, but we have started testing it, and we actually did we just looked at our data in quite damp conditions. We did a 300 to 0 braking in 6.5 seconds, which is a tenth better than our record, and that was in even dry, so that's a very good start. But we have an ambition. I mean, when we look at the data, it should be able to do 0 to 400 in like 21, 22 seconds. So our aim is to do 0 to 400 kilometers per hour in under 20 seconds, just because that's such a cool number to manage. We'll see. It's probably almost impossible, but that's our aim anyway. And from the testing we've done at our old test track, where we can go 345 kilometers per hour, it's looking very promising. So we'll see. But for sure, we built this car to set some very interesting numbers over the coming year and two. So we'll see where we end up.
Well, with performance being such a big factor in all Koenigsegg's, I'm obviously putting words in your mouth now, but tyres are pretty important, aren't they? 1,340 horsepower. You're on the new bespoke Pilot Sport Cup 2 tyre. How important is the tyre?
Well, I would say, as we all know, it's the only contact the car has to the ground. So if that isn't right, it doesn't matter what you do with the rest of the car. And I mean, we're really happy with the performance of these tires. We've measured in dry track conditions over 2 Gs, which is amazing for a road legal tire. And at the same time, wear is really good. Noise is not a big issue, and they even, I mean, function reasonably well in the wet. So they're really amazing. And as far as I understand, it's also the tire with the highest top speed homologation of any tire in the world, with 420 kilometers per hour. So we're really happy about that.
That's fantastic, Christian. I couldn't have said it better myself. Let's come back to this car, because you've already sold 6 cars, haven't you?
Well, when we set out to do this program, we had first 4 customers kind of asking for something like this. And we said, well, 4 is a really small program and it's going to be really expensive, so could we at least do 2 more production cars to see if we can find customers for that? And as it turned out, even before we showed this first development car at Geneva this year, we had already sold all 6 cars, even just showing renderings. So I guess we should have set a little bit larger number in the end. On top of those 6 cars, we did this development car, so it's kind of 6 production plus a development car. And there were so many people asking for it and willing to put down deposits even for that one. So even though we're going to use it for quite some time and drive it hard, when we're done with it, it's going to a customer as well as a development car.
Well, I mean, you tell me this is a pre-production car, really, but the detail, the attention to detail, I would defy anybody to say anything on that car wasn't anything other than fully finished and beautifully made. And little things you notice about people, I asked Christian to sign out a wall at the back. Now, most people, when they sign their autograph, they just scribble it out, don't they? Christian took great care to write his autograph, and it's just a little thing, but I thought it was a beautifully styled autograph, and the way you did it just, I think, reflects about everything that you do with the company.
Well, thank you, first of all, for the kind comments.
Mine is a scribble.
I think when you're a small company, you can't build too many test cars and in parallel, especially for such a low volume program. So in our case, we tend to do kind of a show car turn into a test car, maybe later turn into a used customer car. And also, I think having a super high level of finish is kind of in the category we're in of cars, is an entry ticket. Without that, you have nothing to do there. So given the low volume, given the limited amount of cars, given that show car becomes a test car, this is what happens.
Okay, well, let's talk about the customers that you have. I mean, you say 6 cars. I think 2 of those are going to be in the UK.
Right.
So if you see one of these on the road, you know it's only 1 or 2 in the UK. Pretty rare car. But what sort of person buys a Koenigsegg?
Well, there are a couple of factors, of course, involved. You have
one fairly obvious one.
Well, yes, of course. You have a huge sports car interest.
That's exactly what I meant.
A little dosh on the side, perhaps.
Yeah, just a little.
Yeah, so but apart from that, I think people who understand what we do. I mean, it's much easier to go buy a Ferrari or a Lamborghini or a Porsche. Everyone knows what that is, and you know what you get. So I think our customers are, well, they educate them quite well. They come to visit the factory to see, is this for real? Who are these guys? What does it feel like? Can I test drive a car? Can I specialize it for myself? And they kind of get into that warm feeling that, yeah, this is really for real, and I can get something I can be proud of and enjoy. So it's people who really go into detail in their car purchasing, and of course probably have already a couple of other extreme cars. But not everyone, you know. Some people only have one Koenigsegg as their sports car. That's something we're very proud of, and almost a little surprising, because that's a really dedicated choice to do.
Absolutely. I mean, it's approximately £2.5 million sitting there. I mean, it's a lot of money, and as you say, for somebody to aspire to own one, which people do now, I mean, it really is a bespoke mark of huge integrity and quality, and people do aspire to own it.
Well, I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, definitely. Look at the attraction. I mean, we're all fascinated by it. We're fascinated by cars, aren't we? But something as special as this. A little birdie tells me you might be going to set up at the Nürburgring for a while.
Right. I mean, I think with these bold numbers we have with this car, it would be unfair not to show the world what it can do. And we have very high hopes, and we're in the middle of, well, we're just at the start of a big testing program, I would say. And yeah, we hope it can really show some interesting numbers, and we really believe in that. And whatever they will be in the end, we will show them.
Well, I mean, there's a fascinating, that the Porsche 918 has set a 6-minute 57 round the Nordschleife. We've yet to see what the P1 or the LaFerrari will do, but it'd be great to have you in that competition.
Yeah, it's extremely exciting, and it's I think a good time for this type of let's say adventure. The challenge is very high, and we like that.
There's one thing I wanted to ask about the car, and if you've got any questions, I think we can probably organise another microphone, because I'm sure you guys have got some fascinating questions for Christian while he's here. Are those fully carbon wheels?
They are.
I've not seen that on a supercar before.
Right, it's quite unusual, I would say.
Yeah, very.
As far as I'm aware, it's the only production car in the world with carbon fiber wheels, meaning it's nothing else than carbon fiber. Actually, the only piece of the wheel that's not carbon fiber is the fill-up valve. Okay. Otherwise, it's one piece hollow carbon fiber. So the spokes are like tubes, they're hollow, the center is hollow. So the front wheels weigh 5.9 kilos without the tire, and they are 19-inch high and 10-inch wide. The rear are 20-inch high and 12.5-inch wide, and they weigh 6.5 kilos.
That is so very, very light. So unsprung weight is very low.
And actually, if you don't have carbon fiber anywhere on the car, you should always start with a wheel, because it is unsprung rotational mass. So you have to accelerate it, brake it, turn it, and bump it. So if you want to put carbon fiber anywhere and you don't have it, you should start there. It's most bang for the buck for the carbon.
The problem is that most of us curb our wheels every now and again. And although we try not to, it's really annoying when you do. What would a set of wheels cost for that?
They're very expensive, of course.
I didn't think you'd be drawn on that particularly. It's a stunning car. Everything is bespoke. I know you said it was Spartan, but it really looks absolutely stunning to me. Has anyone got any questions for Christian? Who's got a question? Come on. This young lad at the front has. Perhaps he's an aspiring Koenigsegg owner.
Is it easy to drive the car?
That's a good question.
It's a very good question, and I would say the answer to that is yes. Of course, if you push full, there is a tremendous amount of power, which is normally, if the conditions are not perfect, the power is reined in very efficiently by a stability control system, by traction control systems, by ABS systems. So you have to be, well, very clumsy to make it go wrong. But at the same time, you can turn these systems off. And if you do that and it's raining, for sure you have a big challenge, because it's only two-wheel drive and you have 1 megawatt of power, which is 1,360 horsepower. But at the same time, you can leave all the systems on, you can put it in automatic shift, and if you don't push full, it's very docile, it's very easy, it's not nervous. You have air conditioning, you have stereo, you have Bluetooth telephone, you have satellite navigation, you have hydraulic lifting systems, you have active shock absorbers that can be almost limousine-like comfortable in the softest setting. So if you just behave yourself, anyone can drive this car.
Very good question. That wins you a hat. Well done. Another question? Oh, Mr. Terence, we do not want any questions from you. But I'll put your name down for a Koenigsegg. Do we have a question, Pete?
You don't let the Stig have a lap in it.
Oh, would you ever let the Stig from Top Gear drive it?
I guess we would, yes.
You would? Okay, okay.
There's another one here. Has a question.
Another question? Young lad, we'll bring a microphone to you straight through there, Pete. We should just say, if you've got any questions and you want to involve yourselves in the conversation or interest in just general things altogether, if you just tweet with hashtag MichelinFOS, we can get some answers to you and put it out in the wider community. What's your question, young lad?
Has it got aircon?
Has it got aircon?
It does
My
have
goodness
aircon.
me! When I was your age, I didn't worry about aircon.
Actually, I think it's a very important question, because even now in racing cars, it's mandatory with aircon in many classes, and it makes it easier to enjoy the extreme performance if you're not bathing in sweat, basically.
And also, when you've got 1,360 horsepower, the odd one or two to drive the air conditioning system doesn't really matter, does it?
Doesn't make a huge difference.
Any more questions? No?
Do you have any UK driving positions available?
Now you ask the question.
No, I was just wondering if you've got any UK test driving positions. I can make myself available.
I thought you meant to ask if we have right hand.
Yet another volunteer as a test driver. Funny that. Look, Christian, it's been an absolute pleasure. Delighted to meet you. I've long loved this car, as we do here at Goodwood. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Great to be here. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.